So welcome to Urban Woodworker. Today I want to talk about ebonizing using iron acetate. It's a home brew with the idea of creating a solution that can ebonize wood, but not with commercial stains, but simply using a solution of vinegar and plain iron, soft iron. So let's get started. So what we have here is I use mostly steel wool, and the best grade is the thinnest steel wool you can get. So this is quad zero, 40 steel wool. Steel wool comes in different grades. So extra fine will be 40s. The thicker the fiber or the wool, the slower it's going to break down. So using finer is better. Then you could also use nails, just simple nails. And what I do here, if you look at this is just a solution of water and nails. And if I bring that closer for you, you can see it's pitch black, but it's not rusted. It's just black. And what you're doing there is you're introducing the corroded surface, making it ready for the vinegar. It just speeds up the reaction time. Then I've got a bottle with plain white spirit vinegar. You could use apple cider vinegar, but I use white spirit vinegar. And inside there, I have a bunch of steel wool. There's a few nails at the bottom as well, for good measure. And just so you know, this solution right now is about a day and a half old. It's completely, well, not completely, but it's still clear. It's not black like this. It is ready to be used just as it is, 1.5 days in. So the next bottle here is a solution we call a bark tea. So this is a tannin solution. This is tree bark tannins, ground up, that you can buy them commercially too. And it's a tea of simply hot water and ground up tree bark tannin. And this solution then is used in conjunction with the iron acetate solution. It simply adds more tannic acid to the process, and the more tannic acid, the darker or the quicker it is going to make the wood black. What we'll do now is show you some samples of other ways of ebonizing or darkening, blackening any wood, but we're working with oak right now. And oak is rather different. It has a lot of tannic acids in it. And that tannin reacts with iron acetate. This solution that we were making is a solution called iron acetate. And incidentally, while you have this in solution, it's a good idea not to close the lid tight. There are gases which are coming off during this chemical conversion process, and they build up a pressure in here, and you may not want this bottle to burst or start leaking on you. So keep the lid a little loose. All right, so we have a bunch of samples here of other colors and other methods darkening this oak. And here we have a sample where we have colored the oak with Phoebing's black oil dye. This is used for leather. It looks pretty good. You can still see the wood grain through the color, but it has a bit of a blue tone to it. This is the same kind of dye, Phoebing's oil-based leather dye, but in chocolate brown. Quite nice. You still see some of the wood color through it, definitely some of the features and the characteristics of the grain through it. Then this is Minwax Ebony Stain. Don't know about you, but I don't like this one bit. This is a commercial ebony stain on oak, and it doesn't look anything like a black finish. It looks rather like a dirty finish. It looks like you've tried to clean up an old painted finish. This, for comparison, is the same board of oak, just with an oil finish on. And here is the same board of oak with an iron acetate finish. And so here you can see the difference between the two blacks, the iron acetate and the Fiebing's leather dye. There's nothing wrong with the Fiebing's leather dye, except the color is a bit weird. But if you want to make your own, this is how we're going to do it. Now, I have here also a piece of cherry that we did earlier on. And you can see in this view here, this is grayish. That is only one light coat of the iron acetate solution. And over here where it's much darker, there's a little bit of the tannic acid solution added. And you can see the darkened effect. So what I want to do next now is actually show you the process in action. Because when you put this on in the beginning, you're going to be thinking, oh, this is not working. But if you give it just a few moments, before your eyes, you will see it darken. And you want to be a little patient, you want to make sure it's evenly spread around, but it will darken rapidly, and more so when you add the tannic acid. So be sure to prep your work area. Use gloves. As you can see, my hands have a lot of dark patches on them, and that's because fingers had some of this on and then come in contact with some of this, and what is the result is blackening. Your bench, your work surface, if there's any bare wood and some of this drips on there, it's going to start making black blotches everywhere. So putting some paper down to catch the drips, ideally a waxed kind of paper or plastic will help you. Wear gloves, and I'll be back in a second to show you the process. So taking my iron acetate solution on my piece of paper towel, I'm going to work on this little area here. This piece of wood has not been perfectly sanded or anything. It's just pretty much raw, but you'll get the sense of it. Okay, here it goes. Watch this. In the beginning, it comes on pretty light. It looks just like water going on. As I leave it, you'll see it darkening right in front of you. Right, see that? Getting darker and darker and darker. So I'm going to work this in a bit. Okay, I'll put that aside. And notice wherever it touches wood, it's making these black blotches. So you've got to be a little careful if your adjacent surfaces may not get this treatment. I'm now going to take a piece of paper towel and I'm going to put some of the bark tannin tea on that. So here we go. There it is, the bark tannin tea. And I'm going to start wiping it, and I'll show you what happens here. And you can start seeing quite readily that the one side is going to start getting darker than the other quite quickly. Now while we let that sit, we're going to look at this piece that has no tannin on. This has the tannin. Meanwhile, I'm going to go back to this piece of cherry. So, cherry, put some of the iron acetate solution right here. Note, it's not as aggressive as the oak. Part of the reason for that is the oak has a lot more tannic acid in the actual wood. Then I'm going to take my bark solution, my bark tea, and I'm going to add it in this area here. So just like we left that one for a little while, we're going to leave this one for a while. You'll notice it doesn't look black at all. But look at the oak already. So with the tannin solution and without, There's the one that's being prepared as a sample. This has got one coat of oil finish on it. That's on its way. As you can see, it's very much on its way. Getting there, just about as black as that. Any bit more? Yeah, you can add a bit more of the one solution and then of the other, and it'll just hasten the blackening and make it more and more and more black. You can see there right away, more and more black.